Hello there, welcome to Talking Music. Well, I've had a delivery, and do you know what? I'll be honest, I don't know what it is. So I'm going to open it up now. It's Dave Barbarossa, and it's a book called Mute. So this sounds really good. It's a novel, judging off the back. Dave Barbarossa, former drummer with Adam and the Ants, Bow Wow Wow and Republica. It says it draws on his long experience of the music business to create a world that is authentic, heartfelt, and full of insight. Mute, it says, is a story about rock and roll and the lies we tell ourselves to keep going until we stop. I'll give you a brief synopsis. It says Daniel plays keys in a famous rock band. When he's not on the road, he goes home to his mum, warms up a ready meal, and watches a video. It's not exactly rock and roll, but that's the way Daniel likes it. Scarred by a childhood accident and working in a world of lies and make-believe, it's his haven. But it's 1999 and change is coming. Daniel begins dating a former model, igniting the discomfort of love, and as the band prepares for a major tour, the megalomania of their lead singer threatens to destroy everything. There might be a way for Daniel to hold things together, get through it, and find happiness, but he's going to have to face some hard truths and be ready to take the spotlight. Quick look inside, 274 pages. I was not expecting this at all. I am going to really look forward to reading this. So there you go, Mute by Dave Barbarossa. Let's have a look.
So right now, I am joined by former drummer of Adam and the Ants, Bow Wow Wow and Republica, Dave Barbarossa, who has written a fantastic book, Mute, that I've been reading. Very good afternoon to you, Dave.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
I tell you, here I'm going to show it in video for those that can see it on. There we go. It looks absolutely. I love the artwork, by the way. Where's the artwork from on the front?
That's my brother. That's my brother, Gene Barb. He lives in the south of France and paints and drinks wine with women.
That's not a bad life, is it, really?
Not at all. Not at all. No.
Tell us a little bit. I mean, this is your second book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hunt down Mud Sharks now because if it's
I'll sort
anything
that out.
like
I'll sort that
this, it is it is really really good. Was it easy to go back to writing about the 1990s? I mean, because you've got it. Roland Gift does a fantastic quote about it, and it says it takes him back to what London used to be like. Basically, was it
out.
easy?
Yeah,
Did you have to
yeah.
go and watch kind of 90s TV and listen to 90s music to kind of revisit, or?
No, it's kind of all in there. And I was in a techno band at the Republica at the end of the 90s. So all of that came into focus when I was writing the story. So I had the environment, the music business environment up there stored already.
And obviously, what I was going to say is that you've been a drummer, and one of the strongest characters I thought was Mick. Probably not a surprise that I'm going to say that. I think from memory he was self-taught, like yourself was.
Yeah.
Um, Semi-autobiographical, would that be safe to say?
Well, a little bit, except that his background was a lot more prosaic than mine in the respect that his dad was a plumber in the book, and he was going to do an apprenticeship and get into fixing boilers, but then the rock and roll world took him away from that and spun his nut, as it does to people. And so yeah, he's a little bit like me, but as opposed to Mick, I can play to the click track with no problem at all. That's a technical thing.
Well, I didn't want to give that away, but I mean, there's some. What makes I think the book as well gives it authenticity is that when you mention kind of various instrumentation and techniques, I think there's a lot of music fiction books out there, but the added detail that you give of the kind of the industry and the processes, I think that just adds another level to it.
Yeah, well, I'm lucky enough. It's been my life since I was a teenager in bands, sort of professionally, and with all the stresses and strains and the technical aspects you have to take care of, new innovations year after year to keep your level high. And so that's all up there as well. So it just comes out. I can't write any other way, but in detail about the veracity of what you do as a musician in like a professional band.
And Daniel is a really interesting character without giving too much away either, because I guess he's got his routine, a very strict routine that he
Yeah,
likes to
yeah,
go home, be home at a certain time, have his microwave meal. He's got his mum that's obviously kind of a strong force, and we're here and again, without being a bit cryptic on purpose, there's this accident that's we're not quite sure
yeah,
at the start what's
yeah.
happened either, aren't we? Very interesting character.
Oh yeah, well, he's not anyone I know specifically, but he's a sort as all of them, the amalgamation of different characters and personalities I've spent years on tour buses with all over the place. So quite easy to put together, and maybe bits of family and all sorts of other people join up to make the characters.
And well, that's interesting that you say it like kind of amalgamations, because with touring, and I guess it'd be different for everyone that reads the book. I just thought of one person. I can't say it. I won't say it on air. But
Yeah,
I just thought of one person when putting that together. And that's really, I'm sure everyone might be different when they read it. But
yeah.
yeah, I just had this vision of one person in the industry, perhaps in the 80s, of when I was reading it.
Yeah, well, it could be him, but it also
Yeah.
could be her. I mean, I've worked for a number of interesting leaders, and they they are. I mean, they've got the hardest job in the world, fronting that thing, to thousands of people, and so it does twist them a little bit. But to survive as a front person is a really hard thing in music. The hardest thing. It's easier for me. I stuck behind a cymbal banging away. It's no big intrusion. But to give your everything as a singer in a band is a tough thing to do.
That's a really nice thing to say, really. I mean, it gives, like you say, credit that perhaps not always given. The the other thing, how long would you say it took you to write the book? I mean, was it straight after was you thinking of the idea when the first one was already being published? Or how long would you say you've worked on Mute?
I'd say it came in a bit of a rush during the end of the lockdown thing. The whole idea went onto the page, and then I came back to it. I'd say a sort of solid 2.5 years it took me because I'm not a professional writer, so I don't have the education and the systems to write quickly. I'm a bit plodding, and I like to go off on one as well. Uh, but I mean, you've got to be disciplined. You've got to get up and you've got to sit down and you've got to do it till you're knackered, and then you can move on.
And just to touch on your first book was kind of set in the 1970s as you were growing up during the punk rock era, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of it's a novel. It is a story, but it's based on my childhood school days, and then getting into a punk rock band like as a like late teens, early 20s boy. Yeah.
And and like you say, it was a really interesting time anyway in the 1990s. And I think you've just absolutely smashed it to kind of close your eyes and picture going back to that time. And there's a lot of kind of retro things out there at the moment, but I think to absolutely be able to go back to that period, I think you really smashed it, Dave. I think.
No, thank you so much. I mean, I can remember it being a time of great indecision at the turn of the century. People didn't know whether to look behind them or ahead of them, and that's why Mute has is the people in it aren't entirely who they seem. It was a time of people who reinvented themselves, and you never knew who you were talking to. Well, the earlier eras, you were a punk rocker, you were a hippie, you were a new waver or a blitz kid or whatever. You knew you were. That 90s era, very vague people and angles and attitudes, I thought.
What was it like? You just say, how did the 90s music industry vary from the 80s music industry when you were with kind of, moving to Bow Wow Wow? How, was the 90s industry? I mean, obviously there's lots of different, I'd say perhaps even more genres in the 90s, weren't there, out there in the charts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was that indecision. Were there bands? Did it go digital? Was your band going to have a great digital influence, or was it going to stay true to the traditional sort of organic guitar, drums, bass thing? Were they going to sing about the future? Who knew what the future was? It was another century. It was so really different. Whereas in the 80s, you could talk about clothes and sexuality, 70s, Tories, Thatcher, 60s, hippie, there were definite markers in those eras. And the 90s was just swimming in indecision.
That's interesting. See, I was at high school. I missed all that. See, but so it's interesting to see from your point. It really is. 2025. Is there a plan? I've got to ask for another book that you're gonna. I mean, is there another idea in there to there? That's put you on the spot.
Yeah, well, my girlfriend says I've got to do the garden. So, it's, I don't know about another book. No, there will be another book. I've got another book in me. I know it. I've got my band Third House, which is going great at the moment. I'll send you some stuff on that band. It's a real labour of love, and and of course Mute with Charlie, my publisher. Just really overwhelmed by how positive people are about it. I mean, you can't imagine. It was on a computer screen for like 3 years, and now you're talking about the characters in it. It is mind blowing.
I genuinely though, I mean, when you said that it took you 2.5 years and you've been very modest. I think it's really well written, and I'm not just saying that. It's so I hope it doesn't take you 2.5 years to get another one out, Dave, because
Oh no,
it is
I'm
it's
learning the
genuinely
methodology.
brilliant. What's that?
Thank you,
Sorry.
sir. I'm learning the methodology of writing. I mean,
Yeah.
I take ages to write, as 93 odd thousand words or whatever, and you do learn your craft doing that. But you learn it like I learned the drums. You kind of learn it live. I've never had a teacher to teach me the drums or to write, so I learn as I go. But that's a hard way of learning, but a really productive way, I think. To learn in the furnace of actually having to deliver.
So 2025, is there going to be a tour out there? Are you plans to do any session work with anyone? What does the year look like at the moment?
It looks pretty good. Obviously I'm going to go and read from mute at various places, regional places, and all sorts. I love doing that.
Yeah.
And I've got my band Third House, which will be gigging and putting more stuff out there. Got some good people interested in us. So I'm really, really looking forward to next year. It's going to be a good one.
Well, all the best for 2025, Dave. And there you go, everyone. There, we'll put the
Oh,
details for
man.
mute on the screen as well once again, and for Third House on the screen also. But Dave, keep up the writing and the drumming, and thank you very much.
Oh, thanks very much for having me, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.